Setting goals to me is really mapping your vision.
Okay.
But I'll come back to that. You talked about the RV,
Hmm.
and we've talked about this a couple of times. I'm going to put this out. We're live right now. I have this vision of doing an RV trip, and I think that there's a way that we can do this together.
Okay.
So maybe, I'm just putting that seed out there, but like some Rise Leadership Team 212 type of project where we go on an RV across the country and then we change lives while also
I love that.
viewing. But first of all, that's step number one. You got to speak your goals into the people who can make it happen,
Sure.
right? You're not going to speak it into the people who are going to bring you down and say, why are you, that's impossible.
Right.
You want to speak it into the uplifting people. And that's, once let's go back to what we were talking about, right? Once you've identified, you've reflected on the past, and then you've identified your future self, and you said, okay, this is the future self. And you said, okay, well, what's different between the past version of me, or what's different between me now and my future self? Okay, now you have your list of things. I love your idea, not idea because it's been around, but I love that you use the SMART method because it really makes it specific. I do mentally use that, but I don't preach it because it is so, in my opinion, like there's different versions of it, and people have like one version stuck. And so as soon as you start saying one, I found that people stick with their version of it. But I think it is the right framework to think, okay, now that I know the things that I need to do to get to that future version of myself, whether it's changing my habits, whether it's learning skills, or whether it's literally just taking that trip. Like, my future version of me is taking that trip on the RV.
Sure.
But right now I'm terrified of that idea. What if I get a flat tire? What if, we run out of gas? What if, what if?
Yeah.
Right now, fear is a part of it. I need to address that. So I want to talk about the crystal rubbing. I like how you said that because I can picture, I mean, it sounds ridiculous. Somebody sitting there with their eyes closed and just rubbing crystals. I think that what the purpose of that, and everyone has their own routines, really is connecting with yourself.
Sure.
The way I do it is through meditation, and I just sit down every morning and close my eyes, and there's different forms of meditation that I've done, but right now what I'm thinking about is this just silent meditation of watching your thoughts. You watch them, you don't attach yourself to them, and you watch them, and you really identify what are those fears that are keeping you from that future version of yourself, right? What are the things when you start thinking about it that come up as excuses of why you can't? And you got to write those down because they're bumping up around in your head. I've heard you use that phrase. I really like it. It's bumping around in your head and it's stopping you from even taking that first step. So identifying all those roadblocks, that's what meditation or silent crystal rubbing is for. But I think the action part is the critical step, right? Because once you've identified everything that, okay, cool, I know the vision, I know the path, I close my eyes, I see all of the roadblocks. I need to learn how to drive an RV. This is a skill. I need to find out about insurance. This is a task, an action item. So you write down all those action items, you write down all those skills, and then you make a plan. And that's where the vision map or the goal map comes into play.
Love
and
that.
You say, okay, in this next 3 months, I like really working in 3-month chunks, 12 weeks. In these next 12 weeks, 3 months, what are the things that I can do? And now you talked about taking those steps and then like looking back and saying, was that time frame too small? To me, that's what we're going to do every quarter, no matter what, right? Like the time frame is a guess. If you've ever done any project management work, or I know you've worked with project managers, right?
Yeah.
Like we're I want to say half the time, but I think every time we're guessing based off previous experience.
Sure.
And the more previous experience you have, the better guess you can make. But as you're going towards that goal early on, you're going to have very little previous experience. So your first target, your first quarter goal, you're probably not going to hit it. Just going to say that.
Right.
That's what your accountability group is there for, because once you start getting that feedback, they'll be like, oh yeah, you wanted to sell 100,000 units in 3 months. That's not possible. You got to start here and you got to build this infrastructure, whatever.
Sure.
And that's when you start taking those action steps and getting that feedback and then making those adjustments week by week.
Love it.
But back to your point, just to kind of restate the idea of making goals smarter, making them specific. A question that I ask myself is, how do I know I achieved it? How will I know I achieved it? And that is where I can measure it, right? Like it's
Right.
either, a certain number, a certain quantity. Sometimes it's a feeling.
Yes.
Sometimes it's I'm able to wake up feeling like I want to I want to embrace the day.
Yep.
That's the goal. And once you, because you can feel that yourself, right? You can
Yes.
say saying, this morning, do I feel like that? No. This morning, do I feel like that? No. And then one
Yep.
day, yes.
Yes. That the personal version for me is what does it look like to win?
Yeah, I
Right.
like that better.
Actually, it works the same. I was just at a leadership retreat the last 2 days, and oftentimes when the team is turning what they have decided they want into the actual goals, the question I'll ask is, okay, we're going to be back here in 3 months at the end of this next quarter. How do we know that we've won?
Yeah.
Right. What does winning look like?
Yeah, I like
Right.
winning. I like
Yeah.
that word. That one word switch is better, and I think
Yeah.
I might start taking that. What does winning look